Gun owners, what is your reason to own firearms? I like shooting inanimate targets. My ex-husband is a violent POS and being armed makes me feel safer. I don't own any. I did win one once in a raffle, but I lost it in that dude's boating accident. I don't have any guns, I lost all of mine in a boating accident. Kidnapped by fake cops, assaulted as a teen, went to war, OEF, Army. After all that, seeing each time how no one came to my rescue, it seems dangerous to not have one and stay trained up on it. Because fighting off intruders with a sword would make me look insane. My daughter's ex-boyfriend showed up at the house to force her back to him. I immediately called the police while she tried to talk him down. We lived 2 miles from the police station, and after 20 minutes the guy just wasn't having it and we had to shoot him. Told 911 we shot him, still waited another 15 minutes for a lone patrolman to show up. He didn't even check the guy on the ground to see if he was dead. Do you know how many people can die from a criminal before the police can show up to protect you? I'm a scrawny little young lady, there isn't a man on this earth who couldn't overpower me most likely, but I bet this 9-bite back red heart. Keeping the King of England out of my face. Over the past 120-ish years, the Supreme Court has repeatedly upheld that police are not legally obligated to protect the lives of citizens, and police have repeatedly demonstrated their willingness to refuse to enter situations they deem particularly unsafe to themselves. Consequently, so long as I can end up in circumstances without anyone willing to come to my aid, I will have the necessary tools to ensure both my survival and my family's. Recreational. Most fun way to punch holes in paper. Social. Range days keep me connected to extended family. Moral. Authoritarians should not be permitted to keep a monopoly on arms. I grew up in a small town staffed by 4 cops. Dialing 9-1-1 wouldn't have done a thing. I enjoy skeet shooting and target shooting. Like any other hobby that requires skill, it can be fun. You just have to realize that the equipment you use can also be dangerous and treat it with respect. Avid hunter and skeet shooter. Because law enforcement will be here 10 minutes after I needed them. First, because I like them. Secondly, because I live in the Sierra Nevada mountains and guns here are necessary tools for basic survival. In case shit happens. I am a 155-pound widow living alone in the countryside. I grew up on a reservation in South Dakota. I had family killed at Wounded Knee in 1890, my uncle was shot at Wounded Knee in 1973. I have seen firsthand what happens to a population when they hand over their firearms and just expect that the government will care for them. I grew up using guns for subsistence hunting and saw firsthand how without them we would have starved. There were a lot of very cold nights where a pheasant or a cut of venison was all we had and we were grateful, but if you look at hunting as the only reason for owning a gun, you're lying to yourself and ignoring a large part of who we are as human beings. I believe most people are good, but there always has been and always will be a part of the population that is sick. They round up people and put them on reservations, in concentration camps and in gas chambers. They drop JDAMs on innocent civilians and fly planes into buildings. They take guns into schools and their jobs and kill anyone they can. If they don't have guns, they will use knives or swords and cars and trucks. I decided after Sandy Hook that I would start carrying every day. I know to some that doesn't make sense. Why would a school shooting make you start carrying a firearm? I realized that if I ever found myself in that situation, I can't just run and hide. I'm not going to be able to live with myself the next day knowing I ran while other men, women and children died cause no one was there to help them. I'm not a vigilante. I don't go out looking for trouble or a fight or to start problems, but if I'm in that situation, I'm going to do what I can to help. Would the world and our country be better without guns? Yeah, probably, but you can't put that genie back in the bottle. It's not logistically possible to round up all the civilian guns or disarm the military, and you can never disarm all the criminals or crazy people, so what do we do? Someone broke into my home while I was at work. Typically, I would be there with my kids, but it just happened to be a wonky schedule for me. If I were home, I, a single woman, and my children could have been killed. Granted, I might still be killed with a firearm in the home. But you won't catch me without it. Because I enjoy shooting and learning about the firearms I have/want. I also don't trust the government with my protection, especially since I live in the country where it can take a long time for a police response. Shooting and hunting has always been a hobby of mine, and living in a place prone to burglaries and with a very lengthy average response time for emergency services, it's better to be armed than not. For the same reason, I have a fire extinguisher and a first aid box. I find target shooting really fun. To defend my livestock from predators. Violence is always the last bartering chip in a disagreement that cannot be resolved in any other way, and is of such importance that it cannot be dropped. This is why the Second Amendment exists in the first place. If the government tries to screw us too hard, we have the ability to participate in meaningful levels of violence. But more practically, I have a hunting rifle for deer season. At least half of the meat my family eats in a year is venison from hunting season. I use my semi-automatic rifles mostly for plinking, but also to hunt coyotes, which helps protect the deer population. I have handguns for personal defense, but I also just enjoy shooting them for fun. It's a hobby with practical applications. My daughter was 6 days old. I heard a noise from the back of the house, and there was a huge man crawling through my window. He was halfway in the house at this point, and his hands were inches away from all the knives that my husband had just sharpened, to the point when you dropped a lemon from above them, the lemon would be cut in half. Before that, I was 100% no guns in the house. After started training with guns and got my concealed carry permit. Plus, shooting targets is fun. I grew up hunting and fishing. I've owned guns since I was 13. I stopped hunting due to health reasons and have passed most of my guns down to my 2 sons who hunt and fish. I still have a couple for home and self-defense. Guns are a lot of fun, safe to own with a little effort, and you could in an emergency protect your home, community, or country to some extent. They are far from the Voldemort horrible evil items people in the media would have you think they are. Plinking is a blast. I'm training to make the USA shooting Olympic team. I was trusted with weapons of all sorts in the military, why not continue trusting me as a civ? Cause if you don't stay strapped, there is an increased likelihood that you'll get clapped. Police in my area are corrupt, inept scumbags, and cannot be counted on to protect your life or your property. Pull trigger, make big bang. Big bang make brain go brrr. Dude, I live in NYC and I was anti-gun, but lately there's so many crazy people around, it's made me question my own safety. Been threatened on the subway 3x the past month. Several reasons. The only rights you keep are the ones you exercise. A society only remains free as long as the government fears the people. I choose to take the protection of myself and my family into my own hands rather than the hands of questionably competent government employees. Guns are fun, and I like mechanical objects. No step on snick. They're fun as hell. Jewish. Edit. I enjoy clay pigeons. I got a shotgun after a friend took me out throwing clay, and now I definitely have more than birdshot around. So if you break into my house, the cops will be coming to assist you, not me.